Hey, it's Tuesday at 6 o'clock, Total Schmidt Show. Let's do this.
Hey, tune in every week as I travel the world and I talk to entertainers from all over the world. A lot of writers, a lot of comics, a lot of dancers, a lot of singers, a lot of comics, a lot of producers, a lot of tech people, a lot of comics, a lot of piano player type people. You know what I'm talking about. Musicians and lots of comics. Every once in a while, we'll throw in a comedy sketch, something like that, some music, some travel stuff. We'll even do a live remote from one or two of the ports they happen to be hanging out at.
That's it. That's the whole show. And I'm going to record it all and put it on the intraweb. Sometimes. Usually late. Always late. Maybe. I don't know. And weekly? No. Maybe. Sort of.
Either way, sit back, grab a beer, light a joint, and enjoy this week's episode of
Hey, thanks for tuning in, guys. It is 6 p.m. on Tuesday, and here's the deal. I travel the world entertaining strangers, and when I do, I talk to other people who travel the world entertaining strangers. That's pretty much it. If you are on a cruise ship, you've seen any one of my guests, you've been in a club, Vegas, anywhere you can think of, singers, dancers, all kinds of people. That's the deal. It's simple, folks. If you're watching the video and you enjoy it, hit thumbs up. If you're listening on the podcast, please subscribe to the podcast. Helps me out a ton. If you really like what we do, you can follow us on social media. The information is on the screen, above me, below me, all around me. It's Mr. Lenny Schmidt on every single platform you could possibly think about. If you're really into what we do, go to the website, support us financially. We take Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, all that stuff is there. It's all Mr. Lenny Schmidt, pretty much where you go. And if you're really into what we do, why not become a Patreon member? You can follow the show for a monthly fee. You get all kinds of stuff. You get free content, uploaded private videos, private meetings, stuff like that, merch, albums, tickets to shows, all kinds of stuff. The more money you give a Patreon, the more stuff you get. Hey man, I was on a Norwegian ship and I saw the Mighty Quinn. He's a guy I saw years ago. He's one of those dudes. He's a street performer from years ago. He's a juggler, does all kinds of stuff. Man, I love working with and seeing street performers. To me, there's no more raw, better form of entertainment than watching somebody that can make a show out of nowhere in the middle of the street and watch them work on a stage. They're the true professionals and people that are good at it. And I got to see Mighty Quinn and have him on the show. So sit back and enjoy my conversation with the one and only, the Mighty Quinn.
Talking about you don't realize that what you put your body through.
Yeah.
You know, like someone explained this to me, a pilot explained this to me once. He's like, people think you just sit on a plane. He goes, but you're not. You're flying through the fucking air. Your body's in constant motion.
Yeah.
You know, like us, we're on a ship all the time.
Yeah.
We're on a ship, we're on a plane, we're moving. So your body is moving at a speed that your other human bodies aren't moving at.
That's a good point.
It's not, and I never thought about a pilot explain that to me.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and they go, oh shit, that kind of makes sense.
That's why I feel that like stillness when I'm on land, where I'm just kind of like, oh, this is nice.
It's like a cool calm, isn't it? Where you're just like, sometimes I get up in the morning, I just lay in my bed, I'm like, this is fucking great.
Wow.
Yeah, just gotta just sit there and take it all in.
Totally. Just like sit there lying in my bed doing nothing, just like, wow, I could be here for.
Or like right when I get home, the first thing I do is I grab my, I sit in my chair. I just sit in my fucking chair for a little. You know what I mean? I have a chair. Just sit in my chair and just relax.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, you don't realize your body's constantly you're constantly moving. You're constantly something. Even though we're sleeping at night, we're on a ship, wherever it is. And then like, I'm like you, I did, I want to say March, I took a whole week in March when I purposely didn't book shit. I had 2 weeks off. And I go, the second week I'll do some shows around LA and I'll do some gigs and some meetings and shit. But then I did one first week, I go, I'm not doing shit. I'm not, and I didn't. I just fucking hung with my kids a little bit. You know, cooked. I like to cook, but I
love cooking when I'm on the ship.
Great fucking week to just really, because normally before I know it, I check the calendar and I go, my fucking calendar's full now.
Totally full. Yeah.
Home for 2 weeks.
I'm trying to take all of July off. I blacked it out. I'm gonna try to not work. I know I will end up working, but I'm gonna try to like have a chill month. Like I'm so burnt out.
You know, just take a chunk of like March. The March thing really helped me because I had 2 weeks, and it really helped me to focus all of it on 1 week. Like to take 1 week off and then, because I had a couple, like a poker game and even just lunch with a buddy. We smoke cigars. I go, well, fuck, let's do it the Wednesday. Let's do it this week. So that week kind of filled up, but then that 1 week I just kind of had nothing to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just kind of, well, what am I going to do today? Today I'll hang a shade. you know, or fucking whatever, you know. And I just
it never ends.
Yeah, dude, you need that, man, because we're constantly moving, and then you're constantly thinking. Like when you do your show, you finish and you're thinking of other what you can do to change your show, and you think about the show and you go, what about this moment? Maybe I should move this to here. And
I try to be constantly like evolving my show. I had some passengers stay that were like, "Oh, we saw you like a couple months ago. Your show was different." I'm like, "Yes,
that's good, right?
Yeah,
that's really cool." Yeah, so you, I get that too. I always ask too with the comedy, because they'll go, "Oh, we just saw you 6 months ago."
Yeah.
And I'll be like, "Did you like the show? Was it good?" Or they'll come back and see it twice when I'm here.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big compliment.
Yeah, I had that last night. I had a couple, which was nice because the 2 shows did end up being a little bit different.
Right.
So yeah, like I changed some bits up.
How much street stuff are you still doing? Anything on the street?
So that was, I had a whole week off, and it was during spring break, and I did street every day. Okay. It was so good for developing material. Right. I got to just do 3 a day every day for like a week straight. So I kind of use the street more for that. It's like an open mic where I can just go try anything and then still get paid really well. So
that's smart.
Nice. And then I got some street festivals that I booked in the summer, but those are like, it's not real street. You like turn up, there's like 1,000 people waiting for you to do your show. You know,
right.
Like outside.
Yeah, it's not like hardcore.
No, it's not like building the audience one person at a time. Yeah,
dude, I was always blown away by that. You know what I mean? I saw you know Michael Collier is.
Oh, I've heard the name.
He's a comic. He was a comic back in the. He's still a comic. I think he's still around. But in the '90s, he was huge in Venice Beach.
Oh yes,
huge.
Wait, did he juggle a chainsaw?
No, he didn't. He just did stand up.
He just did stand up.
He did stand up, man. He did hardcore. He just did stand up, and he had a corner. And I saw him. This was right before I started. So gosh, this had to be late '80s, actually, '88-ish, around there. And I wanted to go see him because I never saw a street performer do stand up.
Yeah.
And I saw him, and man, he was the man. I mean, he owned that corner.
Yeah.
And he went on. He did some TV stuff. He had a lot of drug problems and some other stuff, and did a little bit of stuff here and there. He's still really respected. He was, but the power, dude, to work the street is just.
I want to see if it's the same guy. I just watched this video.
He's a smooth-looking cat with a cool. Now he's got a cool hat. He's an older-looking guy now, of course.
It was a video of a guy in the '80s doing street on Venice Beach, and like I was just blown away by the focus of the audience.
Dude, He had a long. When he used to grab money, he had a shark at the end of a stick.
Yeah.
And he could squeeze it. So if you held up a 20, he'd grab the money from you 10 people deep. So he was making tons of money on the street. You know, you make a ton. If you're good at it, you crush.
I was watching this guy. He's so like unbelievably edgy and crazy, and like it's like literally like he just did stand up for 20 minutes, and then he juggles a chainsaw at the end.
So badass.
Me and my friend who's like 40, he's been doing streets since he was 16. We watched this whole thing the other night. We were just like, man, you can see the difference that cell phones and all that have made on our attention span.
Right.
Because he just had, because like on the street it's a lot of set up punchline because the attention spans are short. But like there he's doing like whole long bits with like callbacks and stuff. I'm like, oh man, that's amazing.
Yeah, see, Collier used to do storyteller. Like he would tell stories and stuff.
Okay.
And this is late '80s, '90s. He would do jokes, longer jokes. He had some stuff he worked out the crowd, but he worked to get your attention.
Yeah.
But you're right. Back then, people didn't have phones.
Yeah.
It's so much harder now. Even in the theater, it's harder.
Yeah.
It's different in the ship, a lot. Although we were talking about this a little bit last night. They're starting to figure out the Wi-Fi thing in the ship more.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So now it's going to start to be an issue with the shows because that's one thing that we've never had an issue with.
That's true.
You know what I mean? When we were on stage, we had full focus, right?
Yeah.
And there was one thing that was always cool about it. They always watch you. That's why working the clubs is so much harder now for stand up. Mm-hmm. Like guys, some clubs will do no phones.
Yeah.
But some clubs encourage it because they want the tax, they want the likes and the thumbs up and all that other shit. Yeah. Which is a real pain in the ass.
That's so annoying. I hate.
There, you know what I've learned? I'm amazed how many people. There was a woman I was on a celebrity ship last week. The mom was on the phone the whole time I was on stage.
Yeah. I
couldn't believe it. I almost said something. At some point, I used to go in and say something about it all the time.
Yeah.
But now sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
It's almost like so many people have, especially in the club. I saw a guy with the feature for me one day.
Yeah.
Snapped on these people in the front row. The whole front row was up. It was so mad, and he had a point, man. He was right.
Yeah.
But it's so much different now to have these phones for people's paying attention. Like working the street, especially. Yeah. It was hard enough to work the street and get people's attention back then.
Yeah,
you had to be a badass. I was always Collier blew me away.
Yeah.
I knew Tommy Drake did stuff on the street for years too.
Yeah.
Now he's on ships. He hasn't done street in a long time, but he's a juggler on the street for a long time.
Yeah. Street performers tend to come on ships and do really, really well because we're used to like being up against shitty odds.
Yeah.
And then on the ships, like the odds are in your favor every time for the most part, you know.
Well, dude, you do a great job of weaving in social media references into your act.
Oh, thanks, man.
Dude, it's really, you're the best I've seen and do that as far as a juggler goes.
Oh, thanks, man.
Guys seems like they're trying to figure that out, but you're right on top of quick, you comment on TikTok, Grindr, all kinds of shit, and be up and current. It's probably, you're
the
much more
secret
current.
is just keep writing, like just always be writing.
You're totally right.
That's it,
Well, plus you do what I do. I still work the clubs as much as I can.
Yeah, you have to, like, because I've watched people get stale.
Right.
On ships.
Right.
And I was like, I will not let that be me.
No, and you become like there's a huge chunk of guys that are out here that are still doing the same kind of show that they've been doing for the last,
and that's how you
years.
like fade into irrelevancy and stop getting booked. Like when the material stops working because like you haven't updated it in 20 years. I've seen that happen a lot too on the street.
Well, this happens. It happened back during we had the comedy boom.
In the 80s, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, when the comedy boom, the backlash came from the boom, a lot of the clubs closed up and a lot of comics weren't getting work, and they were like, a lot of guys would be like, I don't know, I'm not getting work, and I was like, you need to write, bro. You need to write.
Writing.
I go, well, this bit's kind of new. I go, no, that bit's 3 years old, man.
Yeah.
You don't understand. You got if you don't stay relevant. That's one thing where my daughters helped me out with that stuff. You know, like I did a show. I always tell the story. I did a show at Zany's in Chicago, maybe two. It was before COVID, and there was a bunch of there was a lot. They were all under 20. All of them. And my cousin was there. But I had a great show. But the only thing that I thought about my daughters immediately, because I write toward them. Like I think about what the comments about Instagram and TikTok and all this stuff, and being canceled, references to that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you don't stay, I always say that if you don't stay relevant, you gotta, this job doesn't reward longevity.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You gotta be constantly, or just like having the self-awareness to change things if they stop working. Like, I see this with street performers as they age. Like when they're younger, they could play the sexy rock star, seduce the audience kind of thing, get an attractive female volunteer, flirt with her in the show, and it's all well and good. Then they get a little bit older, and then it stops working, and then but then they keep doing the same material.
Right.
And it's so cringy. And you'll
see
it
totally cringy.
Like this like old man like hitting on a 20-year-old, and it's just like
it's creepy.
And the audience doesn't like it, and they're like, oh, this used to work. It's like, dude, have some self-awareness. You know what I mean? Like you gotta
flip it around. It's a new story now. Find a new story to tell.
Exactly. It's just like, and I always view like the audience as my boss. That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're the only notes or feedback I give a fuck about.
Well, dude, that's the smart way. Well, it's one of the reasons I still work the clubs. Well, I used to do early on.
Yeah.
I did a lot more material. I did a lot more stuff about hooking up or having sex.
Yeah.
I have to deal with the way I do jokes about sex now differently.
Yeah.
Because I'm almost 60. I'm not 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It becomes a different relationship with the audience.
As a different joke.
Yeah.
And even crowd reference. Like if
Yes.
there's a girl in the crowd, I can't refer to a girl in her 30s a certain way anymore. I got to come in from a different angle.
Totally.
Because otherwise you're a creeper. You're
totally.
It's cringe, yeah.
There's this really hacky bit that was really popular for a long time. You've probably seen it, where like an act gets a girl to kiss him on the cheek, and then the last second he turns. Yeah. And like with the Me Too thing, people were like, "Oh, you can't do that bit anymore." It's like, no, you can. You guys have just been doing it wrong the whole time.
Yeah.
It's hilarious if you do it on an old lady.
Yeah.
That's when I would do it. Is like if there was a lady in the audience that's so old she's like in a walker.
Right.
Then you do that
bit.
That's
beautiful.
It's hilarious.
It is very funny, yeah.
But if you do it on a 20-year-old, it's like sexual assault.
Yeah, it is, right.
You know what I mean?
And the old lady loves it. She's like, oh, you.
She loves it.
Yeah,
you just go, ooh, Granny's been drinking. Yeah. And it's hilarious.
Yeah, then you get more jokes from that, right?
Yeah, and they'll never be mad. Old lady, like they'll
never.
Yeah,
no, they're
never had it go wrong. Yeah.
That's great, dude. That's a great point.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things you get from when you work the street, man. You got to stay relevant because you got to just keep up. But that goes back to what I was saying earlier about not just doing the ships.
Totally.
You know what I mean? If you don't diversify your shows, you're going to become just one thing. You know.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's feels like death for me. Like
it is death.
I gotta
because eventually the ships are like this is a long cruise for us, a 15-day Princess cruise, right? And the crowd's older,
yes,
right? They're an older crowd, but eventually these crowds are catching up. Some ships you're doing, there's younger crowds on these ships.
Yeah.
If you're not relevant, the younger crowds aren't going to come in and watch a guy that's doing jokes about Clinton. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to just, you got to stay up with the times. Otherwise, it's going to pass you by before you blink.
Also, like what is in demand in the industry constantly changes too.
Right.
So like I always wanted to do ships, but pre-pandemic, I don't think I would have been what they were looking for.
Right.
Whereas post-pandemic, they are looking to get the younger generation interested in cruising.
Right.
And my show, because it was on the street, like I'm trying to make everyone laugh. Like
right.
I'm trying to get everyone's money on the street, right? So
yeah.
my show is enjoyable if you're like 85 or if you're 14.
Right.
Which is like a rare thing to be able to do, but it's just because of street. So like, but it just like I had to wait for the market to want a young, edgy dude
the
on
ship
a
market.
ship. Yeah,
right.
the ship market.
Right. Yeah.
Because like they didn't want me like 10 years ago.
Right.
You know, so some of it is just like luck and waiting for the market to like turn in your favor.
It's timing too, though.
Timing is everything. Yeah.
It's timing. Suddenly they're, and as you said, the industry changes and things become popular.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, like I said, they're going to have to evolve with the crowds.
Totally. Because I feel like I could, like before COVID, if I was on ships, there's a chance I could have gotten fired for like some of the jokes I do.
Right.
You know what I mean? But now they're like, heck yeah, like go for
it.
Right.
Well, we talked about it too yesterday. Is like a lot of these the ship audiences, even if you're 70, they grew up in the 70s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those people were teens in the 70s, and that's a hipper generation than
that's true.
10 years ago when people grew up in the 50s. I mean, that was that old ship mind, you know what I mean? Where it's very uptight, proper, and the crowds aren't like that anymore. The world's changing, so the world on ships are changing with it.
Yeah.
And they're only building more and more ships, so they're going to have to attract to a younger, hipper crowd. They don't have a choice.
Yeah, I also think like just as the economy gets worse and worse, people are going to be more excited about cruising because it's like just an easier way of booking a vacation. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like, okay, I pay like a couple grand. I know I'm going here, and here.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, okay, I got to book this flight, this hotel. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it just kind of like it simplifies it.
Well, you do. After last night, after we bailed on I had one cigar left. I went upstairs and smoked a cigar.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And I sat there, and this woman came and sat with her. Her name was Natalie. She's like 60. But dude, that's exactly what she said.
Yeah.
She's here.
Yeah.
She goes, this cost me this much money, but now I know I've got the shows, I got the theater, I got the club, I got any dinner I want to do. It's all one. She goes, if I did a hotel, I add it all up in the cab and bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, suddenly it's the same amount of money, and then I got to travel and package. Why would I hassle it? So it's just, and their packaging is smarter for people where they're having more and more acts like you that are on that are stronger than going to entertain a younger audience.
Yeah,
you know they got to have that. You know they got to have that attraction for everyone, especially on these long cruises.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, because they know that there's like the grandkids and the kids, you know what I mean, who are on board as well.
Right.
And they want them to like have positive memories of cruising, so when they get older, you know, they're gonna want to like.
Well, that's always been an easy win. Like I've always tried to make sure my act is. I've always been universal. I've always had a wide age grape too.
Yeah.
And I used to work with kids, so bringing the kid into your show is an easy win right there. Because first of all, the kid loves it, parents love it, and the crowd thinks it's cute, so you can't lose. I mean, you can't, you know what I mean? And if the kid's funnier, it's an even bigger win.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It makes my job a lot easier.
Yeah,
yeah.
And you kind of give them like I used to bring kids on stage and do improv.
Yeah.
And you always give with kids, you used to give them the upper hand. You know what I mean? I'm always the straight man, or I'm the goof.
Yeah.
I'm the what? And the kid gets to laugh, and parents think it's great, and it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, like bringing.
It's if you're good at it, if you can handle.
Yeah, that's
with
true.
A kid.
You know what? There is a learning curve to like making sure they don't cry and they feel comfortable and safe and stuff like that. Like there's like.
Dude, you blew me away yesterday when you juggled her, because the way you handle it is so smooth. I mean, you're really in touch with her, and you're like, "Are you good? Are you okay? Are you comfortable? Are you fine?" You know what I mean? You read her the whole way.
Yeah, well, it's so important because like a kid who runs off and cries, you're fucked. You're never getting the audience back. Even if they loved you, it's just like that's all anyone's thinking about for the rest of the show. So. It's so important, and like you know what? It's different on the street. It's different though. On the street, I literally had a show where I made 6 kids cry in a row, and it was hilarious. It became like the running gag of like how many kids Can I get to cry? And then people were just like, because I was doing the knife apple bit.
No, they're daring kids. Go on out there, man.
Yeah, this is before I figured out to get them to close their eyes so they don't see the knife. Like that's all on purpose. So
Right.
But like, I just like take out the knife and like, they just start crying, and it was just like kid after kid, and it like became the theme of the show. It was great. But that was in Amsterdam, which is like you could do whatever you could say, do it.
Yeah, get away with a lot of shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's prostitutes around the corner, legal drugs. You know what I mean? Like if you're a family there, you're probably not super uptight if you brought your family down.
No, because you're the vibe. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But reading the kid and like asking them if it's okay to pick them up is like huge for me because like you don't want a kid to just feel like they have no agency.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. No. Well, I used to, when I would do the improv with the kids, I would always ask someone if they wanted to be involved. And one day I was doing a show talking to a brother-sister, and I just said, the brother, whatever, Pete, come on up here, Pete. And I brought him right up without asking if he wanted to be there. Yeah. And there's a couple of improv games I used to do with kids. But dude, I'm standing next to the kid, and I was doing Genius. You might be. It's one word answer. Have you ever seen it? Where somebody asks a question, then you answer it one word at a time with the person you're working with. So it's
yes.
So I always bring a kid up and let a kid do it. Get the kid. So I bring this kid up, Pete. I didn't ask him. I just told him to get up there.
Yeah.
And I put my hand on his back, and dude, he was shaking like a leaf. I'm like, oh my god, I totally just put this kid on the spot.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even ask him or anything.
Yeah.
And he was freaked out. But I walked him through it, and it was okay.
Yeah.
But I forgot. It was one time I had a mental lapse.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta make sure the kid wants to be up there up there.
Yeah, the whole time. And it's like I you know what, I forgot to do this last night. I need to remember to put this in my notes. So I like having the house lights up so I can see the crowd and I can do crowd work. But the moment I get the kid up there, I usually have the house lights go down.
Okay.
So the kid can't see
the people. Oh,
that
smart.
they're in front of 1,000 people.
Sure.
And that like really has been a game changer. But last night I just totally forgot to mention that in my tech run. But luckily both the kids were great.
Good.
Yeah.
But that's a smart move, man, because the kid will freak out in front of the people. You're right.
Yeah, it's like 1,000 people they're in front of.
Sure.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Anyone would freak out, you know.
There was I noticed they were a little more self-conscious. They were teens or preteens. They were a little freaked out. But kids like that, Lily's age, that girl, she was maybe 6 or 5.
Yeah, like 6. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, because then they're all about the attention.
Yeah, they're chilling. They're great. Yeah. They're happy. Yeah, older is like not great, but the 5 or 6 is like money. That is the sweet spot.
And she was perfect. And the funnier is, she just step back and let her get the laughs.
Totally. And I prefer having a little girl volunteer than like a little boy.
Right.
I like there's more jokes I could do, and I find it's smooth. It rounds out my character on stage because I'm kind of an asshole on stage.
Yeah.
But then with the kid, I'm not.
Right.
Like I become like really sweet.
Yeah, you're kind of sweet.
Really
no, you're
gentle.
right.
So it kind of gives the audience. It makes me more likable to the audience as well.
100%.
To be like, oh, like there's another side to him,
Right.
Because I do like the brash asshole character, but it's just nice to like kind of go full circle.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because then also because we were afterwards we were talking about maybe moving that to later in the show.
Yeah.
Because it's so strong.
Yeah.
Or maybe you don't want to do that because you establish your character so strongly.
You know what? I thought about it today, and I don't know if I can move it because like the way I get the volunteers one at a time to get me on the unicycle.
Right.
It like there's no way I can really change that around.
Yeah, it'd be too hard of a reverse.
It would be too hard of a reverse
Right.
to like get, and then just to have all those guys up there while I'm doing like a 10-minute bit with the kid. Would just look strange too.
It would be, you're right.
And they'd start talking. You know what I mean? Like it was just.
Plus, to be standing around, what are we doing?
Yeah, like what are we doing here? Yeah, exactly. yeah.
Well, do you always bring up the father of the kid? Does it always
if I
that
can.
way?
Yeah. I mean, it's like the perfect segue.
He was great.
He was awesome.
He was really cool.
He was hilarious.
Because he did everything.
Yeah.
He was all over. He was a good sport.
Because normally it's like I get one guy to do the one thing and then the other guy to do the other thing. But the other guy was massive. And I was like...
It was massive.
I was like, are you able to lay down? He was like, no. I was like, fair enough. Like, you're a giant.
Yeah. Dude, smooth move on the joke, too. You have him come up and then help you find someone that's big and sexy. And that's really funny.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's a smart move.
I had a female magician steal that from me and post it on TikTok. And it was going viral. I was like, listen... I know you're 19 and you're figuring out your material, but like, if you're gonna steal from me, fine. You're learning how to write. Don't post it on the internet as if it's yours.
Yeah, don't do that.
That sucks.
Yeah, because that sucks. Now you handcuff me a little bit.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
Because someone eventually is going, oh, I saw that. You got that from that girl. You're like, no.
Yeah, because like in street, it's really common that you not steal, but do stock lines.
Sure,
like
of course.
The hacky,
there's a ton of
generic
stock shit, of course.
Stuff. So it's like And so I did that a ton when I first started. So I'm not mad if someone does that. But it's just like, yo, you can't post this.
Don't put it on a
you
thing.
Wrote it. Yeah. That's just like a level of disconnect from humanity that I can't even why would you think this is okay? Of course she was like, oh, I didn't know I stole it from you. I thought I improvised that. I was like, well, when's the first time you did it? Around this date. And I was like, okay, well, we did a show together a week before that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You
might want to be a little more aware of what you're lifting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's the problem with writing on stage, because I write on stage a lot too.
Right.
And sometimes it's like you hear something, forget about it, and 6 months later, it just comes out of your mouth on stage, and you think you wrote it.
Right.
I've seen that happen to a couple of people, and they genuinely don't think they stole it.
Right.
So it's you do have to be careful with that kind of stuff.
Especially when you're doing interaction stuff with the crowd, I think sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Although some of it, when you're working with the crowd, it's not all stock, but there's a big chunk of it that we all use to guide us through with the crowd.
With crowd work, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean...
What do you do for a living? Blah, blah, blah. Well, that sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just
where are you from?
Yeah, where are you from?
Ohio.
Yeah.
Where, I'm sorry? The old one?
Totally, yeah.
Everybody's done that. No, I heard you.
That's a classic. And it's with crowd work, especially on a ship, it's nice to know where it's going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you are in front of 1,000 people and it's a good gig, and you're in the clubs, it's I just let the crowd work go where it's gonna go. But on ships, you kind of have to be a little bit more.
You got to be
control.
It's such a wild card to work with the crowd on a ship because there are limits to what we can say and do here.
Yeah.
So, and especially it's here. That's a clean show, and clean shows are clean shows. That's the really strict thing. You got to be clean. Yeah. So when you go into the crowd and you're working with the crowd, that's a volatile area sometimes. You know what I mean? Because you got to make sure the crowd is going to be. Not blue or dirty or do something inappropriate. There are plenty of times where I've talked to somebody in the crowd, they've dropped an F-bomb, and I've had to go, hey, you can't, that's not a good idea. You know what I mean? You got to pull out of it real quick. And even
I don't
harder.
know what clean means, though. Clean is so vague. It's just I feel I just try to swear as little as I can.
Right.
I do say bastard, which I should probably cut out, but
right.
I'll only do that in front of Americans, so Americans don't get mad about swearing.
Right.
But Americans get uncomfortable with sex jokes.
Right, okay.
And the Brits are the other way around.
Okay.
They don't mind sex jokes, but
the
swearing
is a problem for the Brits?
Yeah, if
really?
I said... I last time I was on this ship, I think actually a year... No, not the last time, but I was on this ship and my child volunteer, I used to get them to throw the apple up to me while I was on the 10-foot unicycle.
Right.
And he hit me square in the face, and it exploded. It was hilarious.
Oh, isn't it on socials?
Yeah, it's on Instagram.
I saw it, bro. Yeah, I saw it yesterday.
Little bastard, and it killed.
Yeah.
It killed. But then there was a bunch of British people that were I can't believe he would say bastard in front of a child. At a child. This is just... And literally, I got that video from the dad.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
The dad
yeah, because it's from the crowd. That's right.
Yeah, it's from the crowd. The dad was that was so funny. Do you want the video? You know what I mean? But
well, he did nail you pretty good.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Dude, it felt like I got punched in the face. It was
and you're on top of a fucking huge unicycle.
Yeah, and I was just doing the calculation
of
can I call this kid a bastard? I was I think I can. Yeah, crushed. It's that high risk, high reward.
Yeah, right. It's gonna be worth it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It got a big laugh.
Yeah, and actually, the entertainment director on this ship, he got the complaint. He was like, "Yeah, well, you got a standing ovation, so she's wrong, clearly." You know what I mean?
She's incorrect.
It's 1,000 people versus her.
Right. Yeah. Right. So I think you won.
That's the thing about being edgy, though. There's no bomb that is worse than an edgy bomb.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the whole room clams up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's you had the oxygen sucked out of the room.
That's why a lot of comedians, I think, are sometimes overly clean because they're I'd rather die bomb with clean than bomb with edgy and get fired.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
well, for us out here, they're pretty cut and dry as far as clean shows, adult shows. We don't They tell you not to do anything political, not to do anything about sex, and not to swear. So. That's what I hear for the clean shows. That's what I've been told.
Yeah, see, I break all three of those.
You do? Because I've heard that some guys have said shit on stage here during shows, and I don't swear during a clean show at all.
I have said shit once, but I try really, really hard not to. I think it was a guy threw the knife at me, literally a tomahawk.
Oh, shit.
Throw.
Okay.
Yeah. And then,
dude, that's not cool.
Yeah, it was insane. It was almost like he knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
so
no, yeah.
I did swear for that, but I didn't get in any trouble. No one complained.
I don't think anyone would.
No one complained.
I think everybody.
They were like, "Fair enough, dude."
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Because it was not. It was out of character. It was just me reacting as a human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
no,
the guy
yeah, with a giant hatchet being flown.
Yeah,
yeah.
I was like, yo, what the? I think what the piece of shit. I did something like that, and then
Right.
I was like, it got a big laugh because I needed to relieve the tension because everyone was obviously super uncomfortable. This guy's trying to murder me.
Right, trying to kill you.
Yeah, but ships, I don't know. It's so weird. Like people, because I heard for years like how easy it is to get fired for saying the wrong thing and this and that.
Right.
And that's just like not been my experience on ships. Did it used to be like that?
Well, I guess as long as I've been around, I was told the clean show's got to be clean.
Yeah,
And I know I've had a couple of complaints here and there just on joke content.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I try to be more aware of the joke, but I was always told early. It's also changed with time. People have loosened up as far as certain things, but I still hear guys get in trouble. I haven't heard of anyone getting fired for swearing lately in the last few years.
Yeah, no, I haven't either.
But also, they have adult shows now, and pretty much, depending on the line, you can get away with a lot of stuff in an adult show.
Yeah,
You can pretty much say and do whatever you want.
I mean, there was a guy on Carnival that was saying the N-word on a white guy.
Oh, dude, that was on tape. That was a horrible. I know, you know.
And it was like, how loose are they that he felt comfortable enough to drop the N-word?
Dude, that's on. Did you see the clip, the video? It was on socials.
Yeah, I did.
I know the comic working with him is a guy named Keon Pooley. He's a friend of mine from LA.
I've heard he's good.
He's great. He's a black guy.
Yeah. Wait, is this a different one?
No, he was working with the guy.
Oh, he was working with him.
So
okay,
the guy got fired from Carnival, obviously, and because they go
social media campaign.
A black woman taped the video in the back and said something about it, and it was it blew up, and so the guy got fired. But Keon went right up after him. He goes, "There's a theater show where on Carnival you do it back to back sometimes."
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So he goes up right after the guy. And the black guy walks on stage, looks at the crowd, and goes, "Guess what word I get to say?" That was his opening line. I go, "That was great. It was brilliant."
Because like you do at the end of the day have to remember that you are representing like a multi-billion-dollar corporation that has shareholders and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like you gotta like.
Well, plus dropping the N-word is not the smartest word in the world for anybody.
Yeah,
let alone a white guy.
Yeah,
you know, which is not a thing.
It's like that. If hey, I'm like total freedom of speech. If you can make it work, God bless you. But not on a ship.
No,
you know what I mean? Like if you can come up with a bit that's so amazing where you're saying the N-word and black people are laughing and it's great, and you can figure out how to do that. God bless you. The ship is not the place to try that.
Right.
And you need to do that when it's your own audience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you were selling out theater, like Louis C.K. had a bit where he said the N-word. Yeah. And he was able to do it because he was already famous. Yeah. He gets the leeway.
Yeah, the people are paying to see him.
Yeah, he gets the benefit of the doubt. Everyone knows who he is. Yeah. You're just some like random guy on a ship.
Yeah, you're just the act.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't want to like bag on this guy. I hate comic bashing, but it's just like, I'm just like, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know why you would think you could get away with that. No, you're right.
Yeah, because I would never say the N-word on stage. It's just like, it's not my word, you know.
My brother did a joke. My brother got fired my brother's a comic too, and he used to have a joke and used it. And it was a long time ago. It was like the 90s. Yeah. And it was actually a great joke. Yeah. And the whole point of the joke was you can't use the N-word. And he got fired. The joke was, I can't, he's talking about rap songs and the N-word and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. You can't. He goes, someone said he used the N-word in a derogatory fashion. He goes, is there ever been a good fashion to use the N-word? He goes, you can't name your song the N-word that cured cancer. And you still get fired. But he said the word, and he got fired. I mean, he did that night. He's like, dude, but the point of the joke is, and back then you could almost kind of get away with it. But you can't, there's no way now.
It's got to be your show, and you're putting.
He wasn't. He was an opener or a feature in a
Funny
Bone in Des Moines or something like that.
Yeah, there's a line of guys who were willing to not say the N-word.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, then we'll call. Well, we'll just give our dates to this guy. That's not going to call. We want our complaints to come from the headliner. Thank you very much.
Totally. Yeah. It's like on a feature act.
I'm not going to fight for a feature.
Get out of here.
Dude, he's a really strong feature. Get out of here.
Get out of here. Yeah. Because I say the F word, like the F homophobic slur on stage, like in the context of it. It's like literally a punchline. It's like my closer at the moment.
Okay.
But for me, I feel like okay about saying that word because that word was used to bully me all through school.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I kind of go like, okay, even though I'm not gay, I feel like it's like crazy to say I can't say it when that word has been used to hurt me.
Right.
And that's what the bit is about. Not that specifically, but about being bullied with that word. You know what I mean? So, and I've not gotten any backlash from it at all.
Right.
And the bit has never bombed once, but it's like, I guess it's just about like having like the self-awareness of like knowing how far you can go. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, reading the crowd for one helps, but yeah, the ship thing it's a lot different because like
I don't do that on ships. I've never.
Yeah, all it takes is we talked about this yesterday. Just the right person complains to the right person.
Yeah, totally.
And no matter what, you're going to get fired.
Yeah.
Or like you said, if there's ever a social media backlash.
Yeah, that's
like the Carnival thing is a great example.
Yeah,
it was all over
no
TikTok.
matter how much they like you, they're just like,
and then once they got in the news algorithm, they were like, get rid of them. We got a million comics. We're not going to fight for they're not fighting for free speech as comics.
That's what's funny when people say because I'm super against cancel culture, but a lot of people say it's like a socialist thing. I'm like, it's more of a capitalism thing because it's really just companies that are scared one nickel is going to roll out the door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Like that's really what it is.
And
it's companies not wanting to lose money.
And they're not just scared; they're scared to death.
Yes, they're terrified.
And it's always a small group that does something.
Yeah.
That causes trouble for you or whatever.
Yeah.
Like when you told the TikTok thing yesterday, we were talking about when you got in trouble on TikTok.
Yeah, when I got deleted.
And that was just out of personal vendetta.
Yeah, totally.
That kind of pisses me off even more.
It was the
that
worst.
Somebody just doesn't like you and they go, well, I'm going to cancel this guy because I don't like him.
So we're live now, yeah?
I'm in recording since we said that.
Okay, good. Yes.
I think we're okay so far.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Just for the audience, like who's listening, if they want to know, I was pretty successful on TikTok pretty quick. Like my stuff went viral like right away, and then I posted one. I did a show on an indigenous reservation, and I'm part indigenous myself, so I did a joke I'm half English and half indigenous, which is really confusing because I want the land back, but I also stole it fair and square, and that killed. Like the indigenous people on the reserve loved it, so I posted that on TikTok with the caption, "Doing indigenous jokes on a reservation," which of course that's gonna go viral.
Sure,
right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Right.
And sure enough, it did, and everyone was fine until this one indigenous content creator found it, and then stitched the video and was like, "This guy is racist. He can't be making these jokes." And basically commanded his 5 million followers to go after me.
Right.
And then I got banned. I lost my TikTok, and then I found out 2 weeks ago it's because he's the ex-boyfriend of a girl that I had a brief fling with.
Right.
And her having a fling with me was a huge source of contention in their relationship. So I literally lost my TikTok because I had a 2-week fling with a woman 5 years ago. It was crazy. And I just found that out recently. I'm like, that's
dude,
crazy.
It pisses me off even more when it's somebody in person. And I can't believe TikTok completely dropped you from that or banned you for that.
Yeah, never get your account back. Goodbye. I have one now. It's got 10,000 followers or something on it, but nothing. Ironically, the next bit I had that went viral on TikTok when I first came back was me performing at the Top Secret Comedy Club in London, England, and I asked the audience, do you know what indigenous people are or what you did to them? And then a guy yelled out, "Cunts!" And then I just was pointed, I'm like, "See everyone, this is why I love freedom of speech, because now we know who the cunt is. Fuck this guy." And then everyone went,
"Oh, that's great."
Yeah, so so it was funny, my first video coming back to TikTok was defending indigenous people.
Dude, that's a weird loop.
Yeah, it wasn't even on purpose. It just worked out that way. I was like, "Oh, that's hilarious." And that one got 5 million views or something. Yeah.
Dude, that's a trip. That's great. Well, dude, how long you look like a pretty young dude. How long you been working the streets, man? How long? And you've been, dude. You do it you do it hardcore. You've been to England. You've been everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm always blown away by that.
Yeah, it was my full-time gig for almost 10 years. I started when I started juggling in front of a hat when I was 16. Didn't really know what I was doing, and then when I was 18, I started doing a proper, let's gather a crowd and do a show.
Right.
So I've been doing that for 10, 11 years.
Dude, that's badass. That's just really
Thanks,
cool.
Man. Yeah,
Dude, no, it's impressive, dude, but it's even more impressive that you keep doing it and you diversify your stuff. I love stand-up so much. I'm a big fan of it. I really love it. And when I see acts just get on a ship and go, well, I don't need to do a club, and then fall into the stale, how's the buffet? I want to strangle them. I'm like,
I'd die. I wouldn't be able to
I couldn't do it.
I'd go crazy.
I know guys for years that would work with them and they had the same act. I mean, I flip about 40, every year and a half I do a new album. And it's
wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, I did a new 40 minutes. So I just did the new one. We just finished editing. It'll be out probably in about a month, I think.
Nice, man.
It's called Fire Sign. Yeah, it's great. I'm really happy with it. So, but I write like crazy. I mean, I write a ton. And it's easier, like these, like Princess is a little more difficult, but things like Carnival and Norwegian, because each of those ships I do 10 shows a week.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so because I'm doing so many shows, what I do is I'll sneak in some new material here and there. And like I got Vegas coming up, so I'll do a bunch of new shit there. I got Dallas the week after that. I booked my own gig in LA. I do new shit there.
That's
so
awesome.
I just constantly keep working it in, and by the end of the year and a half, I have a whole new 40. And then the month before I record I'll do one of the Norwegian ships or Carnival ships, and I'll do that show in its entirety.
Yeah.
Like run it and then record it. But I'm constantly writing and recording and writing and recording and writing. I mean, I don't know how you cannot do it. I don't know how you can just repeat the same thing over.
I go crazy. I'm thinking about like asking the powers that be at Princess if I could do like a short like adult show, like stand-up set, like after my theater show.
Yeah.
Just so I can like keep doing material, trying new material.
Well, they started that new format on the ship, and they did it at the beginning of the year, and it featured like 3 adult shows.
Yeah.
You should jump on that, man, and see if they would give you an opportunity to do that. You could maybe do the juggling show, main show. They want one main show, and then you do 3 30s.
Yeah.
And that would give you an opportunity to go. And they're adult. They want adult shows.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's what they're asking for.
And I know a lot of guys. I mean, they're bringing in a lot of. My buddy Jimmy Schubert's doing it, and Alonzo Bowden was out here, and I mean, they have a lot of guys out here that can get edgy and really do some cool stand-up stuff.
Because like with my circus comedy show, I have like 2 different 45s that are like clean enough for a cruise ship, and then I have like maybe 20 to 30 minutes of stand-up.
Yeah.
But that I could do in an adult dirty show that I wouldn't get fired for.
Right.
But it would be nice to like progress that to 45, so I can be like, hey, I have 3 different 45s.
Then you're loaded with more stuff.
Yeah, then you can ask for more money too. I feel like if you're like, hey, I have so much material, you can literally like hire one less act. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Like, that way I'm saving you money.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
Yeah.
Right,
so that's been my goal, is to try to get like a third 45 that's like just stand up.
I don't know if they're going to keep for Princess specifically. They're doing this new format.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're in a perfect position to try to get more of it, since you're tight with the booker. You know what I mean? If he likes your stuff, and if they keep doing it, because I guess they were experimenting at the first part of the year.
Yeah,
and I don't know how much more they're doing. I don't have a lot of Princess for the next year and a half, so I don't.
Yeah, I've got it tied. I'm booked on Princess like almost till 2025, and then they're doing a lot more than like 3-day contracts, which is great. And I've been so fortunate and so lucky that like both of the bookers have like seen my show.
Yeah, right.
It's like that's such a rare opportunity. It happened with like the I won't say their names because comics will like be like, who do I reach out to? But the one like saw me when I was a Piazza act, and then I got moved to the theater after that. And the other one I didn't actually meet, but he just saw me get a standing ovation on the Sky. So like that was like perfect, and that was like right when he started as the new booker, because when the booker was changing, everyone was kind of like, oh no, like what's happening, and we're gonna get less contracts. So when I found out he was at the show, I was like, yes. I was like, oh, like that's so lucky, like to be pure luck.
That's how I ended up getting on ships. When I did a showcase night, and the booker for Carnival happened to be there, and she was with a friend of mine who at the time I didn't want to do shit. I got on ships because I was going through a divorce. I was getting crushed. And my buddy was like, I thought you didn't want to do ships. I go, yeah, but the divorce is, things change. And he goes, oh, well, this is Virginia or whatever. I go, hey, nice to meet you. And she booked me like a week later. It was just right time, right place, the whole deal.
Yeah.
Then they fired her 6 months later.
It's what's scary is like, I mean, even with stand-up, it's a pain in the ass when the booker of a club changes. So
it's really hard,
like,
dude.
Oh,
they used to,
know who I am.
With the club, they would just drop you. They would. I would hate it though. Like when I would have a date in the books. Yeah. And then someone would go, Tony's out at whatever at the farm. I go, no. And I have to go, hey man, I got an August date. How are we looking for that? And he's like, no, we're not doing that August date.
It's
They're
the
like,
worst.
and they do it all the time. And but they all have their own people.
Yeah.
So you just kind of, you find like Zane. I've been working for Zanies for years, but maybe over 20 years. But they had the same booker forever. So
there was this club in my hometown. I won't name it, but I was having like a hard time just getting like a feature spot there. Like I just kept emailing and I'd hear nothing. And then I moved to England, and then I created a new email address that was like info@quinncomedian.com instead of just like, qbeasley@gmail.
Right.
Emailed and said like, hey, I'm a comic from England and I'm going to be in town for like a week. And then they're like, oh yeah, sure. And then they booked me.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah, just like... But they just didn't respect the locals, really.
Dude,
You know what
hometown,
I mean?
hometown guys never get the love.
No, they don't. You can't make it where you started.
And Zanies was kind of like that. Zanies was like that with other Chicago guys. I know Chicago guys that grew up, developed in Zanies.
Andrew Schultz said the same thing, but like the club he started in wouldn't headline him, and he was headlining everywhere else.
Right.
That's so hometown bullshit. It's so common.
But they all, everybody goes to it. And
like,
the same thing, the Chicago guys were strong. Pardo had Paul Gilmartin, from a very funny dude, had problems with Zanies and getting booked. And like, I was always fortunate there. I was always lucky at Zanies somehow. I don't know how.
A first impression with stand-up is everything.
Yeah.
Because like even I've done that with people where like the first time I ever saw them, they bombed.
I know.
And then I've seen them crush since. Like no, I know the real
that's
you.
a lie.
Yeah, I know the real you.
You're lying to these
You know
people.
what I mean? There's something innately human about that. About
Right.
like you're the first impression. Like I was so lucky that like the first real stand-up set I ever did that wasn't an open mic, I crushed.
Right.
And then I like in front of the booker, and then I bombed like my next 6 sets.
Yeah, right.
But it didn't matter. She had
'Cause
seen
the
me
booker
crush.
said, yeah.
So she was like, "Yeah, you're great."
She's like, no, I've seen him kill. Yeah, right.
Yeah, or like this one L.A. comic, Abby Roberge. Do you know him?
I think I do know him.
You might know him.
Is the guy Abby?
Yeah.
Then I don't
Yes,
know.
dude. He watched me like do what is maybe still the best set I've ever done.
Oh, no way.
Life.
Right on.
Like I was only up for 7 minutes, but I got like 6 applause breaks in like 6 minutes, and like just like brought the room down, and then he went out after me and bombed. And he's great. And then he's like, yeah, Sid's been super great to me, and I was just like, oh man, like I still don't think I've killed that hard since. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
But that to him, he'll remember that.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. Yeah, right on.
Yeah. First impression, man, it's everything.
No, you're right. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of guys end up keep working though too.
Yeah,
Like I would see guys who are terrible. Like, why is this guy headlining?
I used to kill.
Susan, you loved him or whatever.
Yeah,
But why?
Yeah, totally. Oh, there's a lot of undeserved success.
Yeah, I know. Well,
it's so rife with it.
It changed. The key is to keep changing and keep updating. Dude, let's wrap it up, man. This was good.
Yeah,
that was good. That was good. That was
I
awesome.
enjoyed it, man. Yeah.
Dude, where are you off to next after this?
I'm on the Norwegian Epic for 3 weeks.
Nice. All right.
And my parents are coming on.
Oh, nice.
Which is like awesome. But
have they seen you on a ship yet?
No, never.
Okay.
It's kind of infuriating though, because it's like, you guys could have watched me for free on the streets for the last 10 years, and you didn't. Now you're going to spend $7,000 to come watch me on a cruise ship.
Yeah, but now you're part of the experience.
True, but it's like, it's the same show that I was doing on the streets.
Have they cruised before? Did they cruise?
Yeah, they're cruisers. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, they'll be proud, though. Be watching.
Oh, totally.
All beaming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my son.
It is just annoying, though. As soon as there's a structure around you while you perform, all of a sudden, it's like respect.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
or like I have people from Chicago that suddenly will, most of them are good about it, but they'll ask for free tickets. That's what happens to me is they'll hey, can I get tickets?
Yeah.
I'm like, where have you been the last 25 years?
Totally. Yeah.
You know.
I also feel like it's easier to become one of the top cruise ship acts than to become one of the top street performing acts.
Yeah.
So like I valued my success on the street a little bit more than I do the ships, because the ships that happened so quick for me.
Right.
Whereas the street took me like 10 years to get
well, but that led to the shit. You know
True.
What I mean? All fed into it.
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
Dude, into the camera, plug whatever socials you want to plug right now.
You can follow me, Quinn Comedian, on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're done. Dude, thank you, bro. This is good.
My pleasure.
You're still watching? That's amazing. Nobody does that. Nobody, but you did. That means you want more. Pick one of these clips. Go for it. I dare you.
Hey, also follow one of those social media thingies.